They say money is the universal language, that it opens doors, that it commands respect. But on a freezing Tuesday morning in New York City, Simone Clark was about to learn that for some people, prejudice speaks much louder than cash. The moment the revolving doors spun to a stop behind her, the silence hit. It wasn't a peaceful silence. It was the kind of heavy, suffocating quiet that happens when a room decides you don't belong there. Simone paused, her breath misting slightly in the cold air trapped in the vestibule. She adjusted the collar of her camel coat, smoothing the cashmere scarf. She wasn't just anyone. She was Special Agent Simone Clark, a woman who hunted terrorists for a living, a woman who had earned her place in the world. But as she stepped onto the marble floor of Sovereign Trust Bank on Fifth Avenue, she wasn't seen as an agent. She wasn't even seen as a customer. To the eyes tracking her from the security station, she was simply a threat. And she had no idea that the check in her pocket, the one meant to change her mother's life, was about to turn this bank into a crime scene. Simone felt the stare before she saw it. Every Black American knows this feeling. A sudden shift in air pressure. A sixth sense passed down through generations of survival. The security guard, a burly man named Barnes, lowered his coffee cup slowly. His eyes didn't blink. They locked onto her silhouette with a mix of boredom and hostility. It was a target lock. Simone kept her chin high. She walked straight to the teller, her heels clicking a steady rhythm on the floor. She slid her withdrawal slip under the glass. "Good morning," she said, her voice crisp and professional. "I'd like a cashier's check for $65,000, please." The number was a point of pride. It was 10 years of missed holidays, overtime shifts, and saving every penny. It was for a renovated brownstone in Harlem. But the teller didn't smile. She looked at the slip. Then she looked at Simone's face, then back at the slip. "I need to get a manager," the teller said, her voice dropping a frightened octave. Simone nodded, keeping her face neutral. "I understand. Normal protocol." But it wasn't normal. Behind her, a customer whispered loud enough to be heard, "She looks nervous, probably a scammer." Simone's gloved hand tightened into a fist, just for a second. "Stay calm," she told herself. "Do not give them the reaction they are begging for." The manager, Mr. Sterling, didn't approach her like a client. He approached her like a contamination. He stopped 3 feet away, maintaining a distance that felt like an accusation. "Miss Clark," he said. He didn't look her in the eye. He looked at her hairline, then her coat. "You're requesting a substantial withdrawal." "Yes," Simone replied. "As I told your teller, the funds were transferred from my federal credit union yesterday. They are cleared." Sterling tapped his tablet, his lip curling slightly. "The system is flagging your account, Miss Clark. It says here, possible irregular activity." Irregular activity. It's the banking world's polite way of saying, you don't look like you should have this much money. "Call the credit union," Simone said, her voice turning to steel. "There is a number on the transfer. Call it. I'll wait." "That isn't the issue," Sterling said, sighing as if she were a child who didn't understand the rules. "The issue is risk. We cannot release funds if the transaction profile doesn't match the customer profile." "The customer profile?" Simone asked, stepping closer. "And what profile is that, Mr. Sterling?" "I'm going to ask you to step aside," Sterling announced, raising his voice so the whole room could hear. "We have legitimate customers waiting." Legitimate. The word slapped her across the face. Simone looked around. People were filming. A woman in a yoga outfit smirked. The humiliation began to burn, hot and acidic in her chest. "I'm not stepping aside," Simone said, planting her feet on the marble. "This is my money. I have identification. I have done nothing wrong." Sterling rolled his eyes. He looked over Simone's shoulder and gave a sharp nod. The trap was sprung. Officer Barnes stepped forward. He moved with the heavy, aggressive confidence of a man who had been waiting for an excuse to use his hands. He loomed over Simone, blocking the light. "Ma'am," Barnes barked, "you need to lower your voice and leave the premises." Simone hadn't raised her voice. She knew the game. If she yelled, she was the angry black woman. If she cried, she was guilty. "I am calm," she said, her voice dangerously low. "I am trying to complete a legal transaction." "We know all the tricks," Barnes sneered, leaning in close enough for her to smell his stale coffee breath. "Fake transfers, stolen IDs. We get folks like you in here all the time." "Folks like me?" Simone repeated. "Remove her," Sterling ordered from the safety of the counter. "She's trespassing." Simone Clark had taken down cartels. She had tracked fugitives across borders. But nothing prepares you for the moment your dignity is stripped away by a rent-a-cop in a suit. She didn't know it yet, but the next 30 seconds were about to shatter their lives and go absolutely viral. If you believe respect should be free, hit that like button right now. Let's make sure everyone sees this. "I said get out!" Barnes shouted. He didn't use an escort hold, he used force. His hand clamped onto her upper arm, fingers digging deep into the wool of her coat and the flesh beneath. "Don't touch me!" Simone gasped, wincing. "I am a federal—" "I don't care who you think you are!" he yelled, drowning her out. He yanked her toward the revolving doors. Simone stumbled. Her heels lost traction on the slick floor. Pain shot through her shoulder. "Stop resisting!" he bellowed for the cameras. She wasn't resisting. She was trying not to fall, but to the world watching through their phone screens, the narrative was already written. Sterling watched with a smug, satisfied smile. The customers murmured, "She must have stolen it." Barnes shoved her toward the exit. He twisted her arm behind her back, forcing her body to bow forward. The beautiful camel coat, the one she bought to look perfect for her mother, was being pulled apart at the seams. "You people never learn," Barnes muttered, giving her one final violent shove against the doorframe. The force of the shove tore the buttons right off her coat. The fabric flew open, her blouse twisted. And then, the world froze. A glint of gold caught the overhead lights. Clipped to her belt, sitting right next to her holstered service weapon, was the heavy, undeniable shield of the FBI. Special Agent. The silence that followed was deafening. The whispers died instantly. The smirks vanished. Barnes, who still had his hand raised to push her again, looked down. He saw the gun. He saw the badge. And the blood drained from his face so fast he looked like a ghost. Simone stood there, chest heaving, coat torn, humiliated but unbroken. The shame that had been burning her up suddenly turned into something else. Power. Cold, righteous power. She looked Barnes dead in the eye. "Take your hand off me." It wasn't a request. It was an order from God. Barnes snatched his hand back as if he'd touched a hot stove. Simone straightened her torn coat. She turned slowly to Sterling. The manager's arrogant smile had collapsed into pure, unadulterated terror. "So," Simone said, her voice ringing off the high ceilings, "are we still worried about irregular activity, Mr. Sterling?" Simone didn't just walk away. She made a call. "Dispatch, this is Special Agent Clark. I have been assaulted while conducting an investigation at Sovereign Trust." Within minutes, Fifth Avenue was flashing with blue and red lights. Not for her, for them. Her boss, Special Agent in Charge Vance, stormed in. He didn't ask Sterling for an explanation. He demanded the logs. "Pull the flagged accounts," Vance ordered the trembling teller. And there it was, the evidence. In the last month, 15 accounts had been flagged for suspicious activity. Every single one belonged to a person of color. "This is digital redlining," Simone said, pointing at the screen. "You weren't stopping fraud, you were profiling." Sterling stammered, sweating through his expensive suit. "It was a mistake, a misunderstanding." "No," Simone said, watching the NYPD put handcuffs on Barnes for assault on a federal officer. "A misunderstanding is when you apologize. This was a choice." Simone filed full charges. Sterling was suspended and is currently facing a federal civil rights lawsuit. Barnes went to jail. But the real victory wasn't the handcuffs. As Simone walked out of the bank, A middle-aged woman who had been watching whispered, "Thank you." Simone looked at her phone. A text from her mom. "Baby, you okay? Did you get the surprise?" Simone smiled. Her coat was torn. Her shoulder throbbed. But she typed back, "I'm fine, Mama. I'm coming home." She had walked into that bank a victim of their prejudice. She walked out a survivor of their hate. She bought the brownstone. And every time she walks past that bank on Fifth Avenue now, she doesn't feel shame. She feels the weight of that badge and the knowledge that sometimes the only way to fix the system is to force it to look you in the eye. Hey there, before you go, subscribe to this channel if you enjoyed this movie, and please comment your thoughts below. Thanks for watching.